Hmm. We're live. All right, day before Rosh Hashanah, before the new year, where we get the opportunity to do with joy, with gladness of heart, with a true desire to coronate God as king. God could be a dictator, or you could choose him as a king. Dictate, he dictates. He makes, the grass grow out of being dictatorial, because he says his word is embedded in creation that makes things as they are. So the lion has to be king of the jungle. It can't change its way. Right? It can't change its way. Can't wake up and say, I want to be a sweet cat today. But we have the choice. Do we want to choose God as our king or not? Do I want to maintain my sovereignty and think that I'm the ruler? Or am I accepting Hashem as my king? So that's all our preparation that's happening now for tomorrow night for Rosh Hashanah. Welcome to Tanya today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zich and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya, and we share it with Leah in Florida. TJ Terrence is in Melbourne, Australia. June, she's also in Australia. Yarrow is in Mexico. Roxy in New Jersey. Amy in Colorado. Bella in Amsterdam. Okay, I think. Right. Welcome, I think, first timer, if I'm not mistaken. John, North Carolina. Steve is in Texas. Clem in Brisbane, Australia. Eugenia in Calgary. Jan in Mexico. Michael in Germany. Tim in Texas. Cindy in Florida. Rabbi in Morocco. Ron in, I forgot, let me know. Dana is in Washington State. Stan in London, England. Davida and Liba in New York. Diane is in Arizona. Kay in San Diego. Lucy in Ghana. All right, beautiful. Elise in Georgia. Daphne in South Carolina. David in California. We have Michael, we have Marcy, we have, who else is joining us? Did I miss anybody? Alex in Russia. Yiddish Meidale. And the Telebenta. Adam in Indonesia. Akoy in Lima, Peru. Shh. Oh, Rabbi Schusterman. Please say hello. Beautiful. Ali in Pakistan. All right. There is a second quality of love that is reachable, attainable by all of us. The first level that we previously spoke of is something that is gifted from above. You can't get there, to delight in God just because he's God, not because he gave you something, because he is something. But the second level of love is the soul's desire. Its wish is to cleave to God, to be bound up in the bond of life, to be close to that which is dear to her, to the soul. That's what it desires. And it grieves the soul. Distance from God. Especially having a partition, that's something that separates us, which is, of course, the forces of klipa, of unholiness, that separate the soul from its maker. This is the inherent love of the neshama, of the soul. And therefore, it has a fear of separation, of being alienated from its source. This love is latent in the neshama. As we learned in the first chapter, in the first part of Tanya, chapters 18 and 19, that even a wicked Jew is still a Jew. The love is still latent in the heart. What's the problem? It's imprisoned. And that's why it's yearning. It's yearning for that connection. And that we understand why, and think about it, folks, when we do wrong, do you have remorse? And it says, we learned previously, that the wicked are full of remorse. Why are they full of remorse? And because the love of God is latent in the soul, it's imprisoned. And when we do wrong, that part in us, we sense, even when we do wrong. Think you wouldn't, because you did wrong. No, because it's still there. That love is still there. It's still latent within the soul. But it's concealed. It's dormant at this moment. But when we do wrong, it kind of gives a little message. Why? I did wrong. And you feel bad. And the only reason why we actually do anything wrong, because it's not our nature to do something against God. Because again, the soul is yearning for that connection. It doesn't want to be alienated, be disconnected even for a moment. But what happens is a spirit of folly enters into us that causes us to say, oh, this won't disconnect me. I'll be okay if I say this, if I do that. We lose the sensitivity of the soul. And at that moment, we disconnect in the moment of that spirit of folly. Wow. How real that is. How I see that in me very clearly. Which is a big blessing that we could see that. Otherwise, we may be falling too far. Therefore, a person's service to their Maker, to God Almighty, is to prevail over this negativity, this spirit of folly, that we have to expel it from our being, that it should not have any dominion over us at all. And in particular, in your thoughts, because that's where it all begins, is you think something you shouldn't think that is wrong. What do you need to do? Expel it with two hands. It shouldn't have any free time in your mind, in your thoughts. And we need to be strong with that, to vanquish it at all times. That negative thought, that evil thought, because it's covering over, as a result, over the latent love that the soul has, that wants to just be connected. So we need to be strong. We have to have a courageous heart and to be valiant in order to push it away. That way, the hidden love that's there could be revealed. And where will it be revealed? mainly in the mind to begin with, that you'll be able to think properly. You'll be able to think properly to reveal that love and understand and to contemplate about God, that He is the source of life. And that's what you're yearning and you want, is to be connected to the source of life. Just like a child yearns to be connected, to be near to their parent, or right, close to their father. The metaphor here, our Father in heaven. So that means we need to continuously set our minds, once we've cleared out the negative, right? You're out of a bad place, thinking the negativity. That will, of course, lead to speaking in a sinful way, acting in a sinful way. You rid yourself of that. Now that will allow your soul to emerge, that you will be able to set your mind to what your soul yearns and to want to be connected, to think about, I'm seeking my connection to God. And the more I think it, the more it'll express itself in my speech and in my actions. What will that do then? It'll bring me to do what we're doing right now, to occupy ourselves in the study of Torah, to do a mitzvah. Because through that then we, in fact, cleave to God. For Torah is one with God. And this then will give us the thirst in our lives. The thirst, meaning, this is the second level of love, not the higher level. The higher level is you're delighting in God. There is no negativity. All there is, not only not a negativity, there's such a deep awareness and connection that God gives you the delight in Him, which is not a yearning anymore, because, hey, you've got it. But that's not this form of love. This form of love is a struggle with dealing with our negativity, to remove it, to allow our soul to emerge, that we could think about the fact that we want to yearn and connect to God. We want to be good and godly. That's what we want. And therefore, my soul thirsts for this, thirsts for that connection. Why? Because I don't have it yet. And we're constantly thirsting for it. Constantly yearning to have that connection. And therefore that will lead us to do a mitzvah, to study Torah as a result. And this is the deeper meaning of what's called the rival wife. Biblically, a man can have two wives. So one's a rival wife, right, is called. There's the main wife and the rival, over the last 1,000 years plus, you're not allowed to have more than one wife. But Torah speaks, of course, in the eternal message. So the eternal message is that we've got dual allegiance in us. We have an allegiance to God, the main wife. Then we have the rival one, right? Who enters into our hearts and wants to take a piece of our heart. Don't let that rival wife inside of you have dominion over you. Now, you won't be able to get rid of that rival wife entirely, because we're not righteous. That rival wife, meaning the animal soul, the evil inclination, we're not going to get rid of it. We're going to have it there. It's going to try to find its, sustenance, its way, and to try to, you know, bring that spirit of folly in us to bring us down. No, we're not going to. And even further, the rival wife, right? Like a husband has to take care of his wife, sustain her. That's the law. So here, the soul will sustain the rival wife, but giving it food only what it needs, the essentials, eating and drinking, but not overdoing it. And that you should, through even your eating and drinking, know God in all of your ways. Meaning, this is not a godly way. This is not a mitzvah. The eating and drinking that we engage in that's not on a Shabbos or on a holiday, it's something permissible. So that's the rival wife, who wants to dominate, right? So we're going to live to eat. That's what the rival wife wants. But the main wife doesn't want that. Main wife just wants to take care of the family, to nurture, to nurture. That's what our godly soul wants to nurture our connection to God, to do good, to be godly, to connect. But then we've got this other, the rival wife within us that's seeking just, to be fulfilled, to be, play the central role. Gonna give it what it needs, the minimal, just because, right? Eating and drinking, and nothing to make it the dominant force within you. So, what does that mean? Are we going to eat and drink? Yes. Are we going to make that? The question is, are we making that's what I live for? Well, then you're making the rival wife the dominant wife. If you eat and drink in order to live, so you can come learn Tanya and do a mitzvah, oh, so then it's not dominant anymore. You're just giving it what it needs. Right? By the way, that's as opposed to the love that the righteous have, that they delight in God, that there is no rival wife. There's only one wife. There's only one self-expression, and that's of the divine soul. That's all there is. And that's always nurturing, always doing good, always doing the godly connection. But that's a lofty, righteous individual. For us, we're going to struggle. We're going to struggle with the animal soul in us that wants to be the mainstay in my life. So that materiality in mundane life is, the most important thing. Making money, having a status, being self-serving. That's the rival wife, is self-serving. And this is a metaphor that we're using from the Torah, as the Torah speaks to us eternally. So this is the love that we can have. We have to first remove the negativity, because you can't love your spouse or your kids if you're thinking negative about them in that moment. Now, do you have a love for them? Absolutely. It's deep down within you. But in that moment, it's not being reflected. Are you yearning for that connection? Not at that moment, because you're thinking negative about your child or about your spouse. So there is no revealed connection. So first, get rid of the negative thought. That will allow the inherent love that a parent has for a child, and a spouse, a husband for a wife, and a wife for a husband, to emerge. That you can have a yearning to be connected. to be bonded, and seek connection. And constantly then think about something, about that loved one of yours that will keep you, constantly desiring for a connection. That's a powerful idea for human relations. That would save many a marriage. All right, let's see if there's any questions here to deal with. Okay. Don't you think that all of mankind are in prison, but not only some recognize it and search for God? Yes, June, absolutely correct. Most people don't realize that they're in prison because they're just following their animal soul that directs them to be self-directed, self-absorbed, and not self-directed, self-absorbed in a bad way. You could be doing acts of loving kindness, but it's about feel good. The godly soul isn't looking to feel good. It's looking to be good. To be good with its and authentic in its connection. That's what it's looking for. It doesn't need the feel good. It is good. It just needs the connection. That's all it wants. Because it is inherently connected. The soul, the divine soul in us. Yes, absolutely. Miriam. Shouldn't we connect to Hashem first and then let the other connections flow? Yes, excellent. Not only you're correct, Miriam, in what you're saying, but that's the reality. The reality is we're first connected to God because He's our creator. In a sense, even before we're connected to our parents. Except the mitzvah to honor your parents is through that giving us the capability that we can honor our connection to God. Honoring your parents means you're honoring that connection that you have to them, that they, brought you and gave you physical existence. And when you can appreciate and honor that, then you can appreciate and honor that God gives you existence itself, your very existence. Okay, Davida has a question. In the world to come, when the hearts are circumcised like the righteous, that has no competition or connection, will everything then be done in bittul and divinity? Yes, correct. Yeah. Absolutely. I don't see a question from Terry. Maybe I lost it. Okay. Can you honor a parent who does not want you to connect to Judaism? Yeah, So thank you, Kate. That's an excellent question. Honor your parents doesn't mean that you have to listen to them. If they tell you, I really think you should marry this guy, and you don't want to, for whatever reason, right? You don't need to listen to them. Honor doesn't mean you have to honor and do as they say. Honor means that you have to engage with them in an honorable way. You have to not call them by their first name. You call them Ma, Ta, or Dad, or whatever, right? You don't call them by their first name. You don't sit in their place. You don't. You go in. If they ask you for a glass of water, you go bring them a glass of water. Now, if you're, in California and they're in Florida, and they ask you, "Can you bring me a glass of water?" It says, "Yeah, in 2 weeks when I'll be there." Right? You don't have to go around and go do that now. But you have to engage with them in an honorable manner. So if they don't like what you're doing, right? Now, sometimes it might be smart to heed what they say, sometimes, and sometimes not. Sometimes, they, especially if you're an adult and you've chosen a path in life and they don't particularly like that path, if it's a path that God would be okay with, then again, in dealing with them, deal with them in an honorable way, and how you respond to them in this issue. Okay. Why are we here and suffering? We're here to serve God, and suffering, someone steps on your toe and you go, "Ow, that hurt." It's painful. That's fine. I'm suffering now? That's a choice. We don't have to suffer. If we know that everything is coming from God, so we don't need to suffer. That can be a choice. Unfortunately, for most people, it's not a choice, but it can be a choice. All right. Folks, today, TRC at 4:30. The weekly Torah portion class, it's usually Sunday nights at 6:30, will be Wednesday nights at 7:30. Okay. And TRCs will not be on Sunday nights for the next few weeks because the holidays. It will be Thursdays at 4:30 for the Tanya Rabbi community. Okay. Excellent. Rambam is going to be in about half an hour, 45 minutes. It's not going to be right now. Okay. So I'll post it on Messenger, on the Tanya group. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zurich and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have an amazing, wonderful day.